How you answer the question, who is Jesus, impacts your life, whether you are a Christian, an atheist, or consider yourself spiritual or religious at all. The person known as Jesus and the movement that followed his time on earth has affected everything from art and science, literacy, economics, the formation of hospitals, universities, and social agencies, as well as politics, governments, and organizations and societies. Even time as we know it is separated by his birth and his death. So no matter who you are, whether you love Jesus, hate him, or are indifferent toward his existence, stick around for the next few minutes, and this video pertains to you. Let's begin by simply confirming that Jesus actually lived and was a man recorded in history. Outside of the Bible, there are a number of historians from the 1st and 2nd centuries who documented different portions of Jesus' life, death, ministry, and character. Ironically, some who were most adversarial toward him or his cause provide us with the strongest evidence of Jesus' historical existence. When their writings are combined with those of the church fathers and 27 different New Testament documents, we can quickly come to agree with modern-day historians who predominantly acknowledge Jesus' existence. Interestingly, as a man, Jesus lived for 33 years. He had no formal education, and he only traveled within the same 100 miles in his lifetime. So why are we still talking about him 2,000 years later? The portrait that is painted in the Bible of him performing miracles, leading a group of unswerving loyalists, being crucified by his enemies, then rising from the dead 3 days later, provides those clues. But it's not just the Bible that reveals those facts. It's the chronicles of history. When all of these ancient texts come together, they create a level of reliability in this portrait of Jesus provided by the Bible. Jesus himself once asked his followers, "Who do people say I am?" They responded by saying, people thought he might be John the Baptist, or Elijah, or Jeremiah, or another prophet. Even though the people were wrong in their assessments, these comparisons in mistaken identity tell us something about what Jesus was like in his affect and his preaching style. John, Elijah, and Jeremiah were all known for their outward confrontation of evil, their bold and intense character traits, as well as their immovable stance on what is righteous. These characterizations should steer us away from any assumption that Jesus might be mild-mannered to the point of timidity, that he would never expect people to change, or that he would appease sins that are detrimental to those he loves. The best way to answer the question, who is Jesus, is to consider what he said about himself. Here are just a few of his claims. He called himself life, as in the bread of life, the resurrection and the life, and the way, the truth, and the life. These statements point to Jesus as the source of both existence and eternity. He was there at creation. It's he who sustains all that is alive now, and he makes it possible for people to live forever. He said, "I am the light of the world," illuminating areas of darkness, like confusion or despair, and provides clarity and a way forward instead. He said, "I am the vine that delivers nourishment for a fruitful life." Without staying connected to him, our lives cannot produce what they were designed to achieve. But our greatest meaning and fulfillment can be found when we graft ourselves to his energy and objectives. As wonderful and miraculous as all that might sound, we're still talking about him today because of two other bold claims. First, that he is the Messiah. And second, that he is God himself that came to earth in human form, known as God's Son. When Jesus identified himself this way, he was declaring that he fulfilled all the prophecies spoken hundreds and thousands of years prior as the one who would come to save the world. This led to a number of heated exchanges with religious leaders in his day and people who were trying to figure him out. They asked the same question we're asking: who are you? And when they didn't like the very answers we touched on in this video, they asked again because they felt threatened. Who do you think you are? We are in a similar position. Jesus was a man proven by history. The historical record about him is reliable. Within that record, Jesus claimed to be God. He came to earth in the form of a man with a twofold purpose: to save us from death and all the darkness that represents, and to live eternally in loving relationship with us. In order to receive these gifts from him, we have to believe he is who he says he is. That leaves us with three options, and really only three. Option one, recognize that Jesus existed, but assume he lied about who he is. That's the option for those who are more antagonistic towards him. Option two is assume that Jesus was mistaken about who he is. This option describes those who think Jesus was a good moral teacher with some good ideas about living peaceably. They don't think negatively about him, but also don't embrace his full identity. It's interesting that option two is also so popular in Western cultures. It basically means they follow the teachings of someone who didn't have a full grasp of his reality. There's a third option, to believe Jesus is who he says he is. We all have to choose one of these three. Jesus didn't leave us with any other options. Once your heart is stirred to entertain option three, it creates a new set of decisions, the most important decision in life. To believe Jesus is the Savior of the world, including your world, opens the opportunity to receive him, his love, his grace, and his gentle heart toward you. It's an opportunity to recognize that life on your terms or the world's terms is ultimately unsatisfying in the deep places, that what you hoped would fill you hasn't in any meaningful way, and that the logical end to it all is pretty dark. To close this video, I want to leave you with some other names Jesus has. Deliverer, faithful and true, our peace, our advocate. If you could use any or all of those in your life, we would love to continue that conversation about Jesus with you. Click the link in the description to learn more about Jesus' claims or how to make a decision about him. We're here to help you take your next step toward the abundant life with Jesus.